I want to welcome our VIP guest tonight, Izzy. Izzy's the master distributor for STEM Tech. Guys, we do not promote our companies here, but I want to promote Izzy because he's a dear friend. We just got off the phone with another friend of mine, Todd Falcone, and I could announce tonight that Todd is going to be on October 14th. He's going to be on. He's going to be on this call too, and we're going to give away some of his courses or his books or whatever. I don't know. We got to figure out what it's going to be, but we're probably going to give away to 5 winners. You got to start inviting more people. I know everybody loves to get this call on replay. I want to see more people live. And if we're giving free stuff, because people like free stuff, but at least we're giving you stuff that you could use and you could benefit from. Okay? Yes, product is great. Knowledge will make you money, right? Remember, yes, builds your bank account. No. Come on.
You
Builds you.
builds you.
Builds you. Knows build you. Right? Okay. And I'm a man who used to hearing the word no. All right. Angel, why don't you get us started if you can? And then also Peg,
Right.
we got a great training for you guys tonight.
We do, and so yeah, let's reiterate our guests coming up in the next. Sorry, I'm not even on the right screen. Okay, let's reiterate our guests coming up. We've got Tanya Aliza, September 9th. We've got Ray Higdon, September 23rd. We have Amber Voigt, October 7th. Todd Falcone, October 14th. This call is going to be fire, and we have 15 people on here. Not even. No,
Terrible.
11 people on here right now. Like, come on.
Terrible. Terrible.
Oh no, 15. We do have 15. But guys, we need to invite to this call. This is going to be the hottest thing in network marketing that's ever going to happen with this call, because we are builders building, and we're all coming together as a mastermind to bring our minds together, like an Izzy and a Mark and Paul and Diane and Tag and everybody, and Danny's coming in now. Guys, this is what we do. And if you don't have a circle supporting you, we're going to be talking about this tonight too. If you don't have a circle supporting you and building you, you need to be plugged in here, but be sharing, have an abundant mentality and just be like, I'm sharing this with everybody I know, anybody who needs to, even if they're not in network marketing, doesn't everybody need to grow in their own mentality and in their own belief? Today, we're talking about something really awesome. Peg, I know you're busy right now, so I'll go to you afterwards to share a little bit, but let me go into a screen share here. All right.
And while you're doing that, Peg is actually helping one of her distriibutors. So
She
that's
is.
let me let Tina in. Lynn Laporte, and I guess you don't want to come on, but I am telling you to come in, and we'll hand it back to you, Angel.
All right, guys, we're talking about the power of self-identity today and how your self-concept shapes your reality. This, for me, is like one of the most exciting topics to talk on when we're talking about network marketing. You might be like, how is this going to help me duplicate and build my business and find people on social media? It's not. It's going to help you with what's going on in your own brain right now and why you need this and why you need to change how you're thinking about yourself and how you talk to yourself and the things that are going on in your head. This, for me, was one of the biggest, most powerful things that I experienced in network marketing, was how I started to change how I self-identified and how I started to talk to myself, how I started to talk to my kids, because I couldn't talk to myself in a positive way first. So I started with my kids, but I started to learn the power that we have, which is a God-given power. I don't care how you believe, it's a power that we are given from the supernatural that we all have and we can walk in every single day. But our self-identity and how we talk to ourselves in a negative way and how we talk to ourselves in a, self-depreciation mode all the time, or what I didn't do and how I didn't do it, and I wish I would have done better and I should have done this. The overthinking that we've talked about on a couple of calls ago. We did almost an entire week series on overthinking and saying to you guys, like, you got to get out of your head. You've got to start to talk to yourself in a positive way. And I'm excited with the guests that we have on tonight, because I know we're going to have an incredible conversation. Paul, we do have Santiago at 8 Eastern, so
we got a real hard stop tonight, guys. Charlene, I'm inviting you to be a panelist. We'd love to have your comments. Kate, I'm inviting you in now too. Bettina, you are invited too. If you decline, that's okay. So we got people in the peanut gallery, for lack of a better word. James, thank you. I know it's very late in the UK. Quick comment on this whole self-identity thing. It's going to get into limiting beliefs too. But another thing to realize, learning about your own internal personality, positives, negatives, flaws, pluses, minuses. I start to identify that in other people, right? We talked about, oh my God, this guy's a Paul Capozio type. This guy's a Mark McNulty type. This guy's an Izzy Matos type. When you come across these people, whether they say yes or no to your business, you identify the personality types. You say, oh my God, this person reminds me of, and it's okay. It's safe to say, well, maybe the personality types are different. What's reminding you of that other person will help you with the next, Peg Tucker that you meet, or the next Danny Licciardi that you meet. How you feeling tonight, Danny?
I'm feeling better. I'm alive and kicking.
All right, so we got a hard stop, so we're gonna get right into it.
Yeah, so we're going to start talking, guys. The first screen is about understanding self-identity. And I know this is probably stuff that you guys have heard before. My Canadian accent just came out so much there. But I know it's stuff you guys have likely heard before, but we want to get deeper into this conversation. And it's stuff we need to be reminded about every single day. I know Paul and I talk every single day, and there's not a day that we talk that we're not reminding each other of things that we already know. Right? Where it's like, hey, don't be talking like that, or hey, don't think like that, or maybe we can do this way, or hey, remember that we've got this. Our self-identity, our self-concept is formed at a young age through experiences, feedback from others, and our interpretations of those experiences, which I think is very deep, right? Like, we can get very deep in this. So what we think happened, or what we think somebody thought or said of us, or what we think is going on in their head, is actually how we end up identifying with ourselves. And I think in network marketing, and I think we focus here on number one, Paul, for a few minutes, we can believe that somebody has already formed a whole concept of who we are, or that they have formed a whole idea of what network marketing is, what we're about to say to them, why we're sharing the products. You take somebody like Kate Unger right now, who is she's just going. She is sharing, she's growing, she's building. She's not overthinking it. She's not doing those things. But I know that someday I'm going to have a conversation with Kate where she's overthinking what people are perceiving of her, just as vice versa with Paul, that he'll have to do with me, and conversations we have with Peg and all of that. And I'm sure Izzy has with his team, right? Where we start to go, hey, is this actual reality? And that actually comes up in some further slides. But Paul, any thoughts on this? You're muted.
Oh, but I wish I remember what I just said, because it was very profound. It was extremely profound. And it was tonight's winning lottery numbers. But
yes.
Go back and listen to the replay. Oh, it was muted. So the young age thing, I think this is important, because a lot of us develop our limiting beliefs and other issues at a very, very young age. And I don't think it's so easy to go back and try to deconstruct them. But when they bubble up, we need to identify them in those interpretations. So where your limiting beliefs, or the things that happen to you at a young age that define you who you are, in your interpretation, how you perceive people, how you think people perceive you. Both of those things are interpretations, right? And usually they're somewhat exaggerated. And you got to find out, do you exaggerate to the point of everybody loves me, or do you exaggerate to the point that everybody hates me? Do you exaggerate to the point that everybody should be in network marketing, or do you exaggerate to the point where everybody hates network marketing? Because the truth lies somewhere in the middle, right? And sometimes just asking the question, or assuming the answer is a positive one, especially if the person overall is positive, right? If the person overall is negative, you're going to have plenty of clues if you listen. Izzy, you look like you really got something to say. I'm going to go right to you, because I know you like a book.
I can riff on this for hours, because it's a topic that hits home for me.
Well, that's good, because we're going to charge for this. So go ahead.
There are several aspects to this that I can relate to. Number one, you're right. You have to, before you can build into the business and you can build through what you're doing, you have to identify who you really are. And in network marketing, it becomes such a difficult thing to know the real you, because we have our family, us, the person that we are when we talk with our closest friends and our family. And then as you become successful in network marketing, you have the identity, the persona that radiates in network marketing. You know, my wife says that I have the ability to have a crappy moment, but a distributor calls on the phone and bang, I'm into that personality. The trick becomes over time, remembering who the real person is, because you can get so lost in that network marketing identity that you move away from the real you. And that's what sells. The hype you dissipates very quickly. But if you build that real you, that's where true power and leadership comes from. Identifying that core individual and being true to that particular one. And then you have the other issue, and I'll make this quick. My mentor taught me that once you identify who the real you are and you become successful, money doesn't change you. Success doesn't change you. It identifies more of who you are. If you're a drinker, you're going to drink better hooch. If you give gifts, you're just going to be that more generous. But if you're an a-hole, you're just going to be a bigger a-hole. So you have to be true to the real you, because when it comes out, it better be viable and it better be something that people can relate to. Does that make sense?
Totally. 100%.
Tons and tons and tons.
Yeah. And I think like myself, right, I look back at this and thankfully I had a great, you know, even if though I was raised by a single mom at the time, I had a great childhood because I had incredible grandparents who told me that I was special, the smartest, and I grew up believing that. And I think that there's an attachment that we have when we're a child, we're the closest to our true self. The more that we age, the further we get away from our true self and who we are, right? So it was amazing how, as I grew up, I started to have self-doubt and I started to question my abilities, and, you know, bad marriage and all of that stuff happened. And you really start to get down on yourself. When I found network marketing, I started to be surrounded by people like the Pauls and the Dannys and the Izzies and the Pegs and the Kates who are saying, hey, you're really awesome. Hey, you can really do this. Hey, I see something special in you. And I think that's what we do here, is we reinforce those core beliefs that we needed to hear as children. Right? We become like children here in network marketing. And the closer you can stay to that childlike belief and what you can achieve here, the more success you will have. And the funner it will be. And the more that this will be like, oh my gosh, this is my passion. This is my drive. This is what I was called to do. And so we do that for each other, right? Or we, you know, Paul and I have talked about the fact that it's like social work sometimes, but it is. we're unglorified social workers in our teams, but we love each other and we actually believe in our goals and dreams that we have. Self-identity. Number 2 says self-identity.
Hold on. Izzy's got something.
Okay, go.
You know, when you identify with what you're saying, Angel, it makes it easy for you not just to point out, but to bring out those best qualities and those true identities in others. And you develop a habit. My habit with the identity issue is calling up random people in my life and telling them, I heard something about you, and bringing out those high qualities, because people don't get that. When you're secure in your identity, you can manifest in others' identities and bring that out. It doesn't happen a lot. It's a talent that you need to develop.
That is good. That is good.
Really
I think
good.
I did that to you once.
You
Angel.
did. You absolutely did. And that was fantastic.
And you did it to me many times, Izzy, many times. It's an amazing thing. It's amazing.
So good. I think that it's so easy for us sometimes too to see in others what we can't see in ourselves, right? It's so much easier for me to tell Izzy or Paul or Peg or Danny or Mark what I see about them that's so great. And it's harder for us to see that in ourselves and say, this is how I feel about myself. So we want to talk,
Angel,
guys.
let me just say one thing, because you talked about how your grandparents were very nurturing and tell you you're special. I had the opposite. I had the opposite. It was a very little affection, very little support. So it was really different, but it doesn't mean it's going to hold you back. You're going to look for it elsewhere, right? Maybe sometimes you look for it in the wrong places, but the point is that it's okay either way, as long as you know where you're at and know who you are and then what you need and how do you support. I don't know what's going on the side over here, but okay. So it's my granddaughter's fuzzy beanbag chair. That's what it is. And
the beanbag has joined the chat.
Beanbag has joined the chat. All right. I didn't want to take away from the power of that, but if you maybe came from a background or a childhood that really wasn't supportive and really wasn't that, or was fear-based, because you look, my parents were fear-driven creatures. They were blue-collar workers. My dad drove a forklift his whole life. So, you know, everything was a fear. If you take the car, he's worried about you killing somebody with the car because then he loses his home, right? I'll never forget, my younger brother got into a car accident, and before my dad asked, "Are you okay?" said, "Did you hurt anybody?" Right? What's the other car like? Right? Now, that's because not that he didn't love my brother, but his fear overcame that. And that made him hold back on showing some affection. I loved my father, great guy, funny guy. But when fear took over, right, we became incapacitated to show affection or to really, really, truly be concerned. And so we are who have raised us, but we also are the person that we're meant to become, right? So I think that creeps up for me in limiting beliefs from time to time. I don't think I've ever told the story that I just told, but it's there. So don't think you can't make it because, oh my God, my parents didn't love me or my mom didn't love me or what. It's irrelevant. It really is irrelevant. It's just some of the things you have to deal with. And what does this have to do with network marketing? It has to do with you, and you are a network marketer.
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree with that. I think that the work has to come from the inside out first. I love that you shared that story. I think I shared with you recently on a more intimate call, but I was raised with a poverty mindset. My mom was a coupon clipper. She was a stay-at-home mom with my sister who's 10 years younger than me. My dad worked construction. He got laid off every single winter, and then he would deliver pizzas. And it was fun because he'd come home every night with a leftover pizza, right? But I don't want to diminish who he was as a man because now he's passed, but I don't want to diminish that. But I was so excited when I found network marketing to be like, holy crap. Like there's this whole different world out there. And I know it was a gift from him because I found it 6 months after he passed. So I know it's a gift from him, but it was like lifting. I couldn't look back. I couldn't look at anything else after this. I got fired 10 months after going back to being a paralegal because I couldn't stop thinking about my business. Like that was when I got divorced, right? So it was just unreal. So I think we've covered this slide. You know, it can be limiting. Does anybody want to raise their hand and share anything? Like if you feel empowered to talk tonight, it's Empower Hour. Pig, Tucker. Go for it.
I love this topic, and I love everything that I've heard so far. And for me, when I was a kid, we moved around all the time. It was kind of like I was a military kid. My dad was in retail, and so I was always the new kid in school. My mother was a showboat. My mom was just flamboyant and always, waltz into every room like she was the most important person. And I took that as, oh my God, not me. Like I was like, that's not me. I'm going to be back here in the woodwork, and not that she put me there. It's just, that was my reaction to it. And as an adult, when I first started in network marketing, I was working with a coach. It was Peter Presetto, and he had a retreat, and I went to the retreat, and it was rather small. It was like 9 of us, I think. And after the retreat, I had a conversation with him, and I said, it was about playing big versus playing small. And I said, I can't play big. Everyone is used to my playing small. Like everyone knows me as playing small. And he said, how's that going to work for you now that you've done something like this? Like now that you have grown so much, how's that going to work for you? And that really was, I tell him when I talk to him, that was a real pivotal moment for me because I was like, yeah, that's not going to work. And it's funny because just today I saw a video of our incentive trip from Jamaica. And I was asked on the spot to talk about my experience on the trip and my experience with our company. And I listened to myself today. My first thought was, thinking of a few people who might see that on social media, my first thought was, what will they think? That was right where my head went. Like, what are they? There she, who she thinks she is, right? That was where my head went. But then I realized, and that I was like, wow, listen to me. Like I was able to I nailed it, and I was like, look at that. And also it's funny what you said, Izzy, is because made me think just now that was the me that I wasn't before, but it really was a real me. It really was the real version of me. So that made me feel really good when you said that. I appreciate that. So yeah, the growth that we inspiring each other. The growth that I've experienced since I've been working with this group is just absolutely priceless. So.
Absolutely. And you kicked ass in that speech. You
Really
did
good.
amazing. You were incredible. And so I love that. And I'm just so honored to be able to call you a friend and work with you every single day. How limiting beliefs are all formed. And we've kind of covered this. I mean, this is going to be like, we're going to evolve this topic of conversation, but it's a product of a negative self-identity. So we've all just shared that right now, right? Like where our negative self-identity came from. And why do we focus so much on the negative self-identity rather than the positive? How is it so much easier to say what I can't do, what I won't do, why I won't do this, what other people think about me, how I'm failing, how I'm, just all of the negatives. And when we talk about that, going to bed at night, right? What do? You sit there and you go, boom, boom, boom. You wake up in the middle of the night. What are you thinking? All the negative stuff. And that's what's keeping you up. And then your heart starts palpitating. You've got anxiety and you're going, oh my gosh, I've got all this stuff, right? That's where we tend to focus. And for some reason, we're conditioned to do that. So if somebody believes they're not good with money, that belief can limit their financial success, right? If you start to say, oh, I'm just not good with money, I'm just not good with time, I just don't have the time for this, or I'm just not good at working out, or I'm just not a healthy person, or I'm always late to everything, like those kind of things that we say about ourselves, that is what is forming our brains are powerful machines that are creating that reality for us, every single thing that we speak. So those beliefs can be formed through societal conditioning, like we just said about our parents, our past, our growing up, past failure, how we're brought up, family limiting beliefs. Oh my gosh, how many of us carry around our parents' limiting beliefs with us? They're not even ours, right? They're not even ours, but we carry them because that's what we were told. And how we're just not those people. You don't need to have money. Wanting money isn't a great thing. You don't want to be one of those people. I hear that all the time. I literally still deal with that all the time. The fact that I'm a network marketer is very much shameful to my mother. And the funny thing is she'll never see this, so I can say that. But it's what we care. And I don't attach myself to her belief anymore, right? I had to break free from that. And I've shared the story about how I came home from a convention one time and my babysitter came home and said that I had drank the Kool-Aid and I'm part of a cult. And now my entire family thought I was part of a cult. I don't care. Right? I don't care. I was able to, the work that I had done up until that point allowed me to detach from any of their opinions. Go ahead, Izzy.
I didn't realize I had left that up. I wanted to touch on exactly what you were saying. In terms of limiting beliefs, it's going to be easy for you to surrender that identity as you move along. It's going to be virtually impossible for the people that exist in your Venn diagram to let go of it. Because as you begin to grow as a leader, as you begin to manifest the growth that you're exhibiting, case in point, you, Angel, the closest people to you will want you to be the person that they knew. Because your breaking through compromises their position. The real purpose in all of this is to become someone's I knew him when story. I knew Angel when she was divorced and struggling. Look at her now. You become their indirect success story. But you got to get through their BS, their belief system about who you are before that happens. And let me tell you, that can be challenging, but it can be so much fun when you get to that other side.
That's so good. And that's such a great way of working through that period of time where they still try to drag you down. You're like, why don't you get it?
Hey, 19 years with my
Sometimes it's
company,
fear.
Success Beyond, they think I'm an idiot still. Are you still pushing those pills? Yes, I am, as I drive by Mercedes and you drive your hoopty.
Right. A hoopty. Oh my God, that's an old school reference. Yeah, but also sometimes it's the fear that they have for your failure too. Let's face it. Sometimes it does come, it's misplaced, but it comes from the fact that they're afraid that you may fail. And therefore, or it could be like in my parents' case, if I fail, they may feel I have to, go move back home again, at 61 years old. Meanwhile, they live with me now, right? Or my mother does, but my dad's gone. And maybe it was too late for him to see He saw some of my success on Wall Street. He didn't see any of my network marketing success,
He
which may be
sees
a good
it.
thing.
He
Well, let's
sees-
go to Diane, and then we'll go to Mark, and then I'll talk about, I got a little follow-up for limiting beliefs, how they're generated.
It's funny how you say that, because my mother gave me one limiting belief where my father gave me the other. So my mother was always, you got to be better than the men. The men run the world. You got to be better than the man. And yet my father was, be strong and don't show your weakness, but still be the little girl. So, you had two different spectrums. And it just, to this day, I still feel like network marketing is where it's supposed to be, because it's mostly women.
Right.
And I don't have to be better than the man because it's with women. So it kind of, plays out that way for me anyway.
That's really powerful. And you still get to be the girl.
Be the girl. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Diane. I'm sure a lot of people. Paul, are you talking? Because you're muted, I think.
No, I'm just agreeing with Diane. I mean, I had a couple of
Yeah.
things to say, but I want Mark to go, and then,
Yeah.
because we're going to run late. We're already a half hour in.
Welcome, Mark.
Hi there, guys. And let me just say, Izzy, it's so great to see you. So fantastically great to see you. I owe you a great debt of gratitude, and you already know what that means to me. But just to touch on what you said, Izzy, I depending on how you grew up, where you are situated in the family unit, there's people's perception of you, but there's also people closest to you always want to protect you. And so they come from a position of protecting you. So it doesn't matter what it is, whether you're going to go drive a car, get into a network marketing company, go buy a boat, or do whatever, you're always going to get that protection side of them, that they're going to try and protect you from whatever you're doing or whatever you're trying to do. So they come from that different perspective because they're looking out for you, and they're not necessarily they don't necessarily care what you're doing, but they come from that protection mindset.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And don't you find that, and maybe I'm experiencing this in a different way because I did have young kids and I did go through the whole divorce side of things. When I started to speak to my kids differently and I started to change my language and change my mindset and work on my limiting beliefs, they now will correct me, right? And so it's like, I feel like you almost like change that paradigm for your family, right? You're able to change what they're thinking and what their future looks like. And I know that my kids growing up with their kids, they're going to be teaching them the power of their mind and their words and not to speak the negative things, right? And so I think that, yes, we all grew up with parents and a family that everything was protection and fear. That's what we've been taught, right? Our entire lives is fear, 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 be fearful of this, don't think this way, fearful of success even. So Paul, I know you said you had some points. We've only got 5 slides this time, so we're already on 2, so we've got 3 more, but go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, and I hope we can get to all of them. So another thing is we talked about how limiting beliefs could be formed through societal, family, and a lot of that is past. But the way our new limiting beliefs are formed is that exaggeration is the gateway drug. Right. So what we do is we tend to exaggerate things. Right. And then those things will form and bubble up and create new limiting beliefs in ourselves. So in other words, you get an ice cream cone and you drop your ice cream cone on the sidewalk and like, oh my God, this always happens to me. Does it really? You drop every ice cream cone you've ever had? But when we say those things, or even the fish story, right? I once caught a fish this big, and each time you tell the story, the fish is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Or, oh, I won a ton of money in Vegas. Oh, I won $1 million in Vegas. Oh, I won $20 million in Vegas. The story gets bigger, or it gets negative, or it's a negative story. Even if sometimes you'll tell a joke, and in the joke you have to act out that the person's angry or fearful or whatever. Our mind does not know the difference between that. And I'll tell you a little bit about a dream, but I want you to tell you that when you start exaggerating things, even in a positive sense, you're starting to build up these skeletons of what's real and what's not real. And then your brain starts to fight you. Does anybody know what a dream or what a dream is, right? A dream is usually a collection of thoughts that you put together throughout the day. That's why a lot of times we'll dream, oh yeah, you were in my dream today. Well, we were together all day today. Yeah, but it was weird because we were in a house, but it wasn't your house. It was kind of like your house. Okay, what is a nightmare? A nightmare is when you're having this dream, because usually nightmares start out, everything's good, everything's working out, whatever, it's fun, it's happy. But then what happens is your brain is trying to build a story of random thoughts. That's what a dream is. Your brain is taking all these random thoughts and is putting it together into some sort of a storyline. What a nightmare is when there's no more thought for your brain to be able to compile and put together. So therefore, you go into this black space, right? And now the black space is now triggering your brain to think of a monster. And now the monster's in the black space, and now it has a roar because monsters roar. So what a nightmare is when you run out of these thoughts and your brain starts to create and fill this story in, and now you're in a nightmare. Now, here's another thing, and this can leave these chemical traces in your brain and fear that sometimes you may get the same dream over and over again. Why does that happen? Well, because there's a chemical trace in your brain that was formulated based on that first dream. And when those chemicals start to form again, your brain's going to put it together and it's going to analyze that and it's going to create that dream again and again and again and again and again. Here's another thing. And I know it's a little deep, whatever, and I'm probably not doing the best way of describing it. But if you're ever in a car accident and it's really, really bad, right? And you go through all of these machinations and the fear and the pain and all of that stuff, it releases this chemical cocktail in your brain. And your brain will remember that chemical cocktail. You can go 6 months later and dream about that accident, and your brain will release the same amount of chemical cocktail. That in that dream, you will have the same chemical drama that you did when the accident actually happened. So our brain is very, very powerful. So when we exaggerate and tell ourselves bad stories, even as a joke, right? Even if you're telling a joke and you're building this whole story up and somebody gets killed in the joke or the horse steps on a guy, whatever it may be, you're building up those memories in there. It's leaving these fragments and skeletons. When you say, I always drop my ice cream cone, oh my God, this always happens to me. Your mind is listening to you, right? Thoughts are things, right? Your mind is listening to you. So exaggeration is the beginning of new limiting beliefs. So if you could stop exaggerating, right? Oh yeah, I mean, I made $20 million in network marketing. No, I haven't. No, I haven't. So if you keep telling those things, those stories and those fibs, you're going to have to deal with it. That's why imposter syndrome can be very, very, very different. Can be very damaging to certain people if you take it too far. Tell people what you make in the business, or don't say anything at all, but don't make up something that's not real. Charlene, you put in a comment, and I'm not going to even read it. I'm going to ask you to say it.
I could go on this for hours because I have been studying this for 20 years. One thing I want you guys to understand in a real brief Reader's Digest version, there's a difference between your mind. What Paul is telling you is absolutely correct, but there's a difference between your mind and your brain. They are not one and the same. So quantum physics 101 is your mind controls your brain. So for me, when my brain is telling me something that's not good, then your mind has to say, sit down, be quiet. This is what I'm going to be, do, or have. So mind and brain are different. Your mind will control the brain.
That is so powerful.
It is very, very powerful. Guys, we're trying to give you things that you don't get on some sort of cliche driven, you got to be in it to win it, or, you know, the speed of the leader is the speed of the pack, and all the stuff that you've learned about in network marketing up to this point is really serving the person who's telling it to you. It's not serving you. Okay. It's almost like our education system, right? What the education system was developed by the Rockefellers so that we create obedient workers who are just smart enough to get the task done. And we've never really changed that. But we're trying to give you the stuff to get that whole, crack open that skull of yours and take out all the goop to get you to be a 6- and 7-figure earner. And it's deep. You got to go deep. You know, you got to be a different person. You got to think differently. Angel.
You got to want it too, and believe that you can be. And you know, even with you saying like dropping the ice cream, it doesn't matter if that's like the best ice cream in the world. It was like you were so excited to just eat that ice cream. If you drop that ice cream cone, it's like you got to start to train your mind to say, wow, I don't know what else is going to come to me that's so great, because that one thing just happened to me that wasn't so great. So, oh my gosh, now I've got like 100 times worth of like good stuff coming to me. Like, just be like, ooh, something, a blessing is coming my way because something bad just happened to me, right? Not just, oh, I grew up in a environment of what next, and oh this, and you know, oh this always happens and all of that. So and we understand that, right? Where we know that if we persistently say those kind of things, we're just drawing them to us. People who are negative and unhealthy and unsuccessful continuously tell themselves in their mind and out loud that they are unhealthy and unsuccessful and negative. So
Can I add one thing to that?
Yes.
This is just a personal point, guys, and it touches on something that Paul said in the very beginning. You're going to get some of the best information you're going to get anywhere, especially in the upcoming weeks. With the roster of people that are going to appear on here, you're going to get literally millions of dollars worth of usable information. But it's useless information if you don't actually put it to work. And one of the best places to practice putting it to work is building this call. Because this is a collection of knowledge you're not going to get anywhere with people that are devoted to share it with you with an altruistic purpose. Yeah, some of us, you know, are in the same organization, some aren't. But enthusiasm on ice will always be beat by passion on fire. You've got to really go out there and apply this stuff. Otherwise, you're just coming here for a coffee clutch. Go make coffee and sit back in your living room if you're going to do that. If you're going to get involved with this, get involved with it. Put it to work.
Absolutely.
Here's another thing too. Those of you here that are listening to this and don't have your teams on, it's probably more important for you to get them on here to hear this than it is for you to help them recruit their next person, because they're going to be able to do it themselves, right? If they get it into the right mindset. So one of the things to do is like saying, okay, why? Or here's another phenomenon I see, and I see this with a lot of people that I've coached in the past, and I don't even allow it anymore, is you want to gather this information and make all these notes, and then you want to go and train that, right? Well, you know, so that's an ego thing, right? What you're trying to do is, we're in the business of duplication. And you want to try to maximize every call, maximize every video, maximize every training, and maximize that to as many people so they could put it into action. The more you delay, the more you're holding back on that action. Being the star, we let everybody talk on these calls. Okay? If you need to that, well, that's a thing. We all have to feed that. We all have to become the next greatest leader. But who are you speaking to? So part of the business, in fact, 25% of this business is promoting the call or the event or whatever, because you're getting the information into people's hands, right? Not putting it through your own personal filter, because I'm not saying everything we say is perfect and great, but this is hours wasted of not maximizing the knowledge that's being used, because, you know, you may not get something out of it, but somebody may. You know, people ask me, you know, if do I get nervous when I speak on stage? In the very beginning, I used to. Now, if they tell me, what's your biggest fear about going on stage, is I won't reach one person. That's my fear now. The fear is not of forgetting what I'm going to say, or get nervous, or get tongue-tied, or get dry mouth. No, I don't fear that. I don't care if it's 5,000 people, 10,000 people, or in fact, I hate speaking in front of 20 people. I'd rather speak in front of 5,000. Different energy. But the point is, my fear now is I may not reach one. And all you got to do is reach one person. This call, in order for our organizations to grow, has to hit one person in our team. And it can make all the difference, from zero production to a superstar. One person. So you may invite 10, and we create one leader from that. But if they're not here, it'll never happen. And I've seen it happen over and over and over again. Over and over again. Angel, this is a good slide. This is a really good slide.
I know that first sentence in the second point there is probably one of my favorite things I've ever seen written. But I want to talk quickly about the fact that, guys, if you're here tonight and you've ever wanted to study success, there is nobody who created the success of the Pauls and the Izzies and the Marks and the Charlens and the Pegs that haven't gone through this whole process of the mindset and understanding. Doesn't mean that anybody's perfect. It doesn't mean that any of us are, constantly just abundantly thinking and always positive. Heck no, that's not happening at all. But we know how to do the work. And it's the amount of time we spend in those spaces that we've understood, right? So I wanted to say that, but also when Paul said too, you don't need to go out and be the expert, but what if you went out tomorrow and you took one of these points or one of your notes from your piece of paper and you said, guys, last night I was on Empower Hour. We talked about this. I sat at nighttime. I thought about it. I did some work. I made some notes. I did this. And you give credit where credit's due, but then you say, hey, like if you're not on a call like this every single Monday, you need to be here. So if you text Empower to the number, you can be there, or start your own text list. Get people to say to you, hey, hey, Charlene, I want to be on that Empower Hour call. And she makes a list of people that she just texts every Monday. Or maybe she has a system, or maybe she has a platform she uses, right? So I just wanted to say that. Why limiting beliefs persist? The brain tends to cling to familiar patterns, and we know this. We want to stay in our comfort zone because our brain and our body tells us that's where we're comfortable. If we push outside of that, what happens? We get nervous, we get clammy, we start sweating, we get stomach pains. Our heart is racing. You feel like you're about to pass out. All of those things happen. Nervousness happens. You have to push through that. You cannot stay in what your body and mind perceives as a safe space and actually get to where you want to go. Right? The predictable is not where you want to be. You want to start to predict. You want to start to say, no, this is where I'm going and this is what I'm going to do. And this was the sentence for me that when I was creating these slides today, confirmation bias leads us to seek out information and experiences that reinforce our existing beliefs, making it harder to break free from limiting beliefs. Confirmation bias. I stopped today and I thought about that. We are biased to the confirmations that our brain wants to tell us that we're conditioned into. And so we're biased towards them. And that's where we keep ourselves, because going any further than that is uncomfortable. Who wants to talk? Anybody who wants to share on this? Peg, Paul, Izzy, Mark. What? Paul, you're shaking your head.
Sure. I will.
Go for it, Kate.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
So, yeah, there's a part of your brain that makes a decision about something and another part of your brain that goes out to prove you're right. So whatever it is that the belief truly is, that's what your brain seeks to make you right. So that's one part. The other part is that often it's the ego that's afraid to die, and the ego is really important for the ego for you to be safe and stay, because it's afraid of death if you change. Like if you override me, I'm done. And so it's one of the things that I notice that most and often end up talking to people about is when you're excited about making any kind of a change, because your brain wants you to stay the same, what happens is that there are things that appear to be happening outside of you, but they're not. They're actually created from the inside to keep you where you are. So there's all these things. Well, maybe that's a sign I'm really not supposed to do this business. Maybe that's a sign that maybe it's that. But what it is we are creating the wall that keeps us where we are, because it's a false sense of safety.
Izzy, you look like you're ready to say something.
Yeah, me too, but go ahead.
I have to open up. Paul, you opened up something about you that was personal and honest, and I've never shared this with anyone in my organization. But growing up, one of my limiting beliefs was, here I was, this Puerto Rican kid from the South Bronx, moving to this wealthy enclave on Long Island, and I did my best to abandon everything that I was culturally, because I felt if I was going to succeed, I had to leave who I was and become something that I needed to be. Mm-hmm. And I spent my entire life running away from who I was truly internally. My kids are WASPs. They're white Anglo-Saxon Puerto Ricans. You know, it's kind of funny. And it wasn't until I met my wife, Evelyn, that she told me, you have all these personalities, but you don't really know who you are. And until you find that person, you'll never be complete. And the last 10 years has been kind of like me coming out of the chrysalis. You know, a few years back, my daughter said, I woke up one morning and I realized my father became Captain Boricua. And she posted a picture of Captain America with the Puerto Rican flag. I now embrace that side of me. And I regret the fact that in order to think that I was going to be accepted in network marketing, in business, you know, I couldn't sound like Freddie Prinze from the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? And now I don't give a damn. If you don't accept who I am, warts and wrinkles, that's okay, because I'm still me and I'm still working on me. That for me was the most crippling, self-limiting belief. The fact that I had to be white to fit in with you gringos. It don't work that way. So I've never confessed that publicly in a network marketing forum. I guess I'm comfortable with friends to share that. So meet the whitest Rican you've ever met.
That is kind of true, though. It is kind of true that you are the whitest Rican I've ever met. And I grew up in the hood, so that's funny. Yeah, I mean, I'll just comment a little bit on how the brain tends to cling to, or the mind tends to cling to, familiar patterns. Look, I'm going to tell you a story about my mother. That my mother is so used to being depressed and in a bad state that when she is happy, her whole body rejects it. So when you're in a state of depression, or when you're in a state of anxiety and fear all the time, or anger all the time, you're so used to being there. You're so used to that feeling that when you get out of it, you almost feel uncomfortable. You almost feel uncomfortable. So when we kind of get out of our comfort zone, right, it's kind of literally uncomfortable. It's a physical reaction. Getting out of your comfort zone is a physical reaction. There's a lot of stuff going on there, right? So when
that's true, Paul. I still get nervous walking down the city streets when white people come at me. I don't know what you guys are going to do.
Very good. Yeah, well, true. This is true. This is true. And I think we covered the confirmation bias really good. Angel, I hate to do this, but we only have literally 9 minutes.
Yeah, we do. But I want people to take a screenshot of this, or take your phone out and take a picture of this, and ask yourself tonight, tomorrow, this week, whenever you have time for personal reflection, what is your confirmation bias? What are you allowing yourself to give yourself confirmation for, because you're saying, this is my bias, this is who I am? And if you can't even comprehend that right now, you need to spend some time in that whole question. What is my confirmation bias? I loved that one. I've never heard that before. So that for me is huge. Steps to eliminate limiting beliefs. So this is your action plan, guys. Again, pull out the phone, take a screenshot. This right now, these are the actions that all of us, if not everybody on this call, is either taking, has taken, working on, doing every single day, forgetting, whatever we're doing, right? Like we need to see this all the time. The reason we push mindset so much in network marketing is because you're beaten down every single day, and people are trying to tell you, you can't, you won't, you're not, it doesn't matter. If you did, it's going to fall apart. What do you think? Who do you think you are? And why do you think you're this person? And you get to coach people now, and oh, you're this big shot, and oh, companies are falling apart. The fear factor of network marketing right now on social media is pissing me off, to be honest, because there's so many people posting stuff about what's going on and the disruption, and it's falling apart. No, it's not. The old school standards still stand. We're figuring it out as we go, and there are still companies, like so many people on this call are involved in, that are going to stand strong. Don't get scared by the fear. Don't let the fear of what's happening for other people affect your solidness and where you're at right now. or your excitement level of where you're going. Just know and believe that if you've told yourself this is what's happening for you, it doesn't matter what's going on around you. And don't listen to those fear mongers, because they're probably just trying to get you into their own deal. So that's one thing. It's just pissing. I can't even be on social media right now, like, and see the network marketer posts. It's pissing me off so much. Paul, you want to take the slide, or Peg Tucker? Why don't you take this slide?
I want Peg to take it, but I just want to say, just work on the first one, guys. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you a project. Take a picture of the slide, but I just want you to start being aware, right? Identify. If you're looking through social media and you have a problem with that person, that you get a visceral response, oh my God, who does she think she is? Or, what is with those lips, or what's with that? That's probably not really his car, right? If you have that reaction, that is a limiting belief on your end, and you need to, those are the clues that you need to start being aware of where these issues are happening and why that's happening, right? So just for now, for the next 30 days, work on awareness before you work on the other ones. But Peg, we're going to have you.
Did you say lips because I've got red lipstick on tonight?
No. You know how people do those big, stupid, like monster lips? They look like they got shocked with a cattle prod.
Self-limiting beliefs, Paul. It's my own inner dialogue.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. All right. Go ahead, Peg.
Okay, so thanks, guys. So steps to eliminating your limiting belief. So I, for years, becoming aware, right? So for years, I could tell myself that I can't speak in public. I am not a public speaker. I'm terrified of public speaking, right? So becoming aware I think becoming aware of anything is the first step to change. We all have blind spots that we don't see, and that's one thing that we all do for each other too, is show each other. Paul will say, you're doing this, you're talking to yourself like this, you're talking yourself out of something. So becoming aware, and that's something that we can help each other with. And questioning your beliefs, is it true? Like, is it true that I can't, when I used to tell myself I couldn't speak in public, was it true? I could. Made me nervous, scared me, but I could do it. Nobody died, right? The sky didn't fall. And reframing those beliefs, for example, saying I'm not good with money to I'm learning to manage money, right? I'm not organized. I'm working on becoming organized. I love what you said a couple of weeks ago, Angel, about about organization and getting things done. And I get more things done in a few hours than most people do in a day. I say that to myself every day now. Just reframing that. I do. It's one of my affirmations in the morning. And visualization and affirmations. I make affirmations every day, and I've said this a number of times on here, so this is the last time I'll say it. But I do affirmations every day of where I want to be. I added, because Izzy said this, I say I'm Peg Tucker, Izzy, you say I'm Izzy Matos, and then you start with your affirmations. So I do that, but I also, in the visualization, I visualize what I want, what my goals are, but I also visualize the steps, the actions that I have to take. I picture myself, I visualize myself sitting down and talking, picking up the phone, calling and doing follow-ups and doing my 5 over 5. I visualize myself doing that to get to where I want to be. So it's those affirmations and attaching them to the action. So it's, that's tying those last two together. Take that action, take that small, consistent action. And when you do, and you experience success, those small successes add up. And sometimes it's not that, you can't look at the big, huge picture. I'm going to go from here to there, but those small successes add up, and they make you realize that when you have success, wow, if I could accomplish that, what else can I do? What's the next thing?
What else is possible?
Yeah. What else? Yeah. All kinds of things are possible. So, Angel.
Awesome.
So I think another thing is we tend to overthink it. I know we did a whole week series on overthinking, but done is better than perfect, guys. And you got to look at your KPIs. You could prepare, amazing slides. You could practice a speech. You could read a book. You could do all of these things. If it's not moving the needle, right? Stop being so perfect and just get it done. You need to have, metrics to go by. And in this business, the metric is how successful is your team? How happy is your team? What information do they have that they could do one thing and one thing only, which is duplicate? And duplicate in a way that you're creating an environment for them that they really, really enjoy it, right? So if you worried about the how instead of the what, you're making a big mistake, right? If you're worried about the how instead of the what, you're never going to get there in this business, right? And I know this is different, that you're not used to hearing this kind of stuff in network marketing, because the biggest thing I've ever heard from leaders in network marketing is just do more. Just do more, just do more. So why doesn't that work? It doesn't work because you're in your own way and you don't think you deserve this. I'm going to end with this on limiting beliefs. Everybody talks about the why. You got to have a why. You need a why. I'm telling you right now, build people without a why. Peg and my top leaders know this already. They've heard it a million times before. Good. We need to keep repeating it over and over again. Most people don't feel they deserve a why. So when that guy gets in the front of the room and says, your why must make you cry, and what's your why? And I like a Ferrari, and there should be a vision board. Most people feel when somebody tells you, I just want to make more money, I want to make people happy, I want to change the world, it's too inspecific. It's not specific enough. And when it's not specific enough, it's not real. So let people build without a why and tell you, I'm going to give you the ability to deserve one. That's what this business does. It gives you the ability to deserve the why, instead of fooling yourself into thinking what your why is. I want to be a millionaire. I want to be a diamond. I want to be whatever your top ranking is your company. It's not specific enough to get you there. So build without your why, and you're building to deserve your why. And then guess what? You could change your why, and the why can grow, right? That's the best thing about it, right? You don't need to divorce yourself from your old why to get a new why, right? You're free to do that any single time, but don't get your new why until you really honestly feel you deserve it. And when you deserve it, it means you'll work for it. If you never think you're going to get it and you set this huge, massive why out there, it's the same thing as not having one at all. In fact, it's more frustrating. I'd rather have people not have a why and help them build one by giving them the skills to build, than to have some why that they're constantly chasing that deep in their heart they know they'll never get to. That's not motivating. That's not a motivating why. So I know this is anti-network marketing banter about, you could build without a why. Most of the people you're talking to honestly feel that they'll never get there and they don't have one. It's like goal setting, right? We go set goal setting in threes. Your first goal is easily achievable. Your second goal is the second set that you set your goal is the actual goal you want to achieve. And the third way you set your goal is surpassing that goal so if your goal is to be coach, and I don't know what your middle rank is in your company, Izzy, or some of the other companies you guys have all been in. If your goal is the middle rank, well, that's your main goal, right? But your other goal, your superseding goal, your driving goal, right, is to be diamond or whatever the top rank is in the company. Shoot past that main goal and you'll get there. So set your goals in threes, groups of threes. All right. Really, really important, but make that first one so achievable. It's like the putting drill. If you guys are golfers, right? You set a ball 6 inches from the hole, then 12 inches from the hole, then 1.5 feet from the hole, and then 2 feet from the hole. And you keep hitting those balls in, and the shorter putts give you the confidence for the longer putts. And then when the last putt doesn't go in, you start all over again and build from that success of hitting in those closer balls. Another thing we teach in golf is when you aim for the hole, if you're putting, you don't putt to get the ball in the hole. You putt to have the ball go 12 inches past the hole. This way you'll never leave it short. Angel, and Peg, I'm going to have you ladies take us out.
No, this was fantastic tonight. I think that we covered a lot. Thank you, Izzy. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Peg. Thank you, Diane and Charlotte and everybody who contributed. Thank you, Paul, as always, for, giving such great training. Again, guys, September 9th, Tanya Aliza will be on. She is a digital marketing genius. I worked with her for years, and that girl's brain is one of the most brilliant that I've ever met. Ray Higdon is September 23rd. If you don't know who Ray is, go find him. But he's been a part of this profession for the last 13, 14, 15 years. And has become one of the biggest trainers to emerge from the profession. And then we've got Amber Voigt. Amber, it was the #1 income earner in her company in makeup. She's now moved on to a different company, but she's one of the online marketers that I follow to watch what she does. She's just got a style. She's got a way. People just love her. She's very genuine. And then we've got Todd Falcone on October 14th, which is 2 days after my birthday. So I'm excited. We're going to have an incredible fall. And that's what this call is. So I know right now we're end of summer, school's about to start. We haven't even hit Labor Day, all of that stuff. But guys, it's an exciting time for network marketing. Don't listen to the negative. Don't listen to what's going on or something. It's not something that you're experiencing right now. Stay focused, stay positive, be a Kate Unger.
The other thing is, don't forget, Angel and I will be hosting an event. We'll be in Toronto in Markham at the Liberty Suites Hotel meeting space. The parking
We're
is
doing
free.
training there. It's not just a company thing. Like, it's training.
It's real training. We're going to train on comp plan. Angel's going to train on onboarding, bringing your people on and getting them started. Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. Don't forget lionprideacademy.com. There's a lot of trainings. These videos will appear in there. There's also the getting started section. There's the welcome section for new distributors on what to do on our company. But if you're not in our company, don't worry. You won't even be able to find it or see it. Okay? So we thank you guys. There's some great training in there. Izzy, thank you. Mark, great to see you. I'll give you a call tomorrow. I'm on my way to Florida, but it's time, brother, and thank you very much.
Love you guys.
Bye, guys.
Good night.
Bye, guys.
Good night. Hi, guys.